Hey guys, it's Kat and I am back today to do a Project Pan update for the start of October. Now, yes, I am recovering from another cold. I'm getting sick every 2 to 3 weeks, which is really shit and very annoying. It is what it is when you have a toddler, but the last 4 days I had no voice. It's back today, but it's a bit raspy, so bear with me. But I was actually going to delay doing this update. I'm taking a lot of October off, and I thought, look, if I'm not making much progress on my Project Pan, I'll just do a check-in in November and just sort of do October, November together. But I made a bit of progress, and I thought I may as well introduce new things and get things going while I can. So let's talk about the products that I've used up since my last check-in. All right, 2 were really predictable. Firstly, I've got my MAC mascara. This is the MACStack mascara. Last month, I even introduced a new mascara because I knew this was on the card. So I use it up, and I've been using the NARS one, so I'll give an update on that soon, but that was done. I also used up my Shiseido concealer. This is completely done. The wand is super dry. It's really hard to get anything out. I was using a spatula to try to get right down to the bottom. It is done. I don't know, hang on. Can you see like the lines of me scraping it all the way down to the bottom? It's empty. Now the concealer I'm introducing to replace that is actually one I really love. This is by NARS. It's the Soft Matte Complete Concealer in Light 2.75 Canelli. I love this concealer. It's got a huge dent in it, a huge dip. Now the reason I'm using this up, there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's my oldest concealer that I currently have open. And I know that I can use it a lot because I really enjoy it. But also, you know, we're in spring at the moment, and this is actually sort of my more winter shade, but it's too yellow for me in winter. The annoying thing was I bought the shade Custard, which was a good summer shade for me, and I decided to go back when the weather was getting cooler and try to get a winter shade. Now, I knew there were new shades being released, and they had more neutral tones to them. Because I find that with NARS and their base products, they're very, very yellow or very, very pink. This was quite yellow. Another one that was similar was quite pink. Neither really suited me. And I asked at Mecca, I asked the person, I said, when are the new shades coming out? And they said, oh, look on the system. They came back to me and said, there's no date. We don't know when they're coming. There's no date when they're going to arrive. So I bought this. Very next week, I got an alert in my email, new shades of NARS concealer at Mecca. And I was like, anyway, so there's better shades out there for me. So this is a little bit too yellow for me in winter, but it's also a bit too light for me in summer. So I'm going to use it in spring and hope, yeah, I can use it up and then repurchase a better shade. So I love this concealer. I wouldn't actively want to get rid of it, but yeah, there's better shades out there for me. All right, I used up my sunscreen. Now this is by Neogen, and it's like a purple tinted sunscreen. It's really bad for me just as a sunscreen with no makeup over the top because it makes my skin look grey. So I was mixing it with either concealer or with foundation to sort of tone down the foundation or concealer and make like a tinted SPF, and it worked really well. I really enjoyed it. It's used up, so this is going. Now to replace that, I'm actually going to introduce 2 items. When I originally introduced the SPF, because this is technically just a makeup Project Pan, I haven't actually introduced much skincare or any skincare. That was replacing my primer step because I didn't know what primer to use up. And I thought it worked really well mixing and layering with foundation. So I'll treat that SPF as a primer. So I'm actually going to introduce a primer that I've never used. This is unopened. This has the plastic on it. So like literally, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But this is by Smashbox. I found it in a drawer. The other primers that I currently have open, so I've just opened it, are all sort of mattifying or like pore blurring. And I feel like they're a bit better for me in summer. I'm not going to use them right now. I don't feel like I'm too oily. But I do get redness. So I thought this is one I can try to use. So it's by Smashbox, Photo Finish, Reduced Redness Primer. Never used before, completely full. We'll see how long it takes to use up. So I'm going to weigh that one. But then I will miss having an SPF to mix in with my foundation because it's a way that I like to take more medium full coverage foundations and tone them down. I just find for me personally, SPF, adding it in to like dilute the pigment, not only gives you more SPF, like it's a second layer of SPF, but also it wears better on my oily skin. If I mix in a moisturizer or an oil or something like that, it actually makes me quite greasy and it sort of slips off my face. But SPF works really well as a mixer. So I'm going to add in an SPF. This is my Mecca Cosmetica In a Good Light face tint. So this is a tinted SPF, but it doesn't actually provide much of a tint. It is just like an SPF with a very minor tint. I don't love it. I like the SPF, but I don't like the tint element of it. And I much prefer to use their regular SPF. So this doesn't have too much left in it. Like I've used it quite a lot. It's probably down to here. But I will weigh it and I will use this as a mixer for my foundation. So that's what I'm introducing as well. I've also used up my 4th Ray Beauty Glisten Up Illuminating Mist. Wasn't a big job because it was down to here. It's a tiny little bottle. So I used that up finally, and I'm going to introduce, again, a product that is unopened right to the top. It's my Mario Badescu facial spray with aloe, chamomile, and lavender. I'm not a big fan of lavender scents, but this one I don't mind. And I feel also because it's the warmer weather starting up a little bit, this might be something that'll be good to sort of like just refresh myself throughout the day. So I'm going to see how much I can use of this. I have gone through other scents of this pretty quickly when I am in the habit of using a lot of sort of hydrating mists and whatnot. So I'm hoping I like this more than the 4th Ray Beauty one and I'm more inclined to use it, but it is right up to the top. So it's, yeah, unopened virtually. I've got a whole drawer full of virtually unopened sprays. So I was just like, which one do I feel like using? And this is the one I've picked. Last 2 things, and this is a bit of a discussion. So last month I introduced 2 mini Shimmer and Glow liquid eyeshadows from Stila. Now I really liked these shades. There was Kitten and there was Cloud. Cloud was particularly beautiful. It was like a soft purple with like a gold kind of shimmer to it. Oh God, it was beautiful. These were drying out and I thought if I can mix them with Duraline to rehydrate them, I can get use out of them, blah, 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 blah. Now I did get use out of them, but they were so hard to use. I found even putting a lot of Duraline in there and letting it settle and mixing it in, they were still really, really dry and flaky and crumbly. So the only way I pretty much used these was I'd get a little spatula, I'd scoop some out in the back of my hand, put a little bit of Duraline, mix it in to make a paste, apply it, and it created a lot of wastage. So I went through these really quickly. And then if I just tried to use them as they were without sort of mixing them with Duraline on the back of my hand, I found that they would just sort of, sometimes they'd look good, sometimes they'd look flaky, sometimes they will flake off just throughout the day. They were just really temperamental. So I actually had quite a graveyard of these, which is really sad. I went through them the other day and I found probably maybe 4 minis like this that are as dry and aren't worth rehydrating, in my opinion. They're just too fickle. And I also found a few large sizes. One I was so bummed about because it's this beautiful shade. It's called Fairy Tale and it's a glitter and glow. It's so pretty and I'm so bummed. It's this beautiful like light bronze color. I don't know if you can see, but it's a light bronze color and it's got this beautiful sort of like gold pink sort of shift to it. Oh my God, it's pretty. I'm so annoyed that I let this dry out. The other ones I wasn't too fussed about. There was like some sparkly shades. There was like a blue. I'm like, that's fine. It is what it is. But this shade, I'm bummed about. So I pretty much took out all of my Stila liquid eyeshadows, whether they were the sparkly ones, shimmer ones, whatever they were. And I also picked out a few other liquid eyeshadows that I have. And I've decided that I want to see how many I can work through next year, but I'm going to start this year. Now I actually have a whole bunch of them here. So these are the ones that probably next year I want to work through. I have 6 by Stila. I have 3 by the brand Suvimi, I think it is. And another one by this Riri brand. I'm not sure. Anyway, the Stila ones are way older than these Korean ones. So these Korean ones, I feel like the colors are a little bit more wearable for me on a daily basis, but I want to get through them before they dry out. I don't want to be like, bugger, I should have used them. So my goal next year is to use as many of them as possible. So I've picked out 4 shades to try to focus on. The first one that I was really interested in is the one that I have in my eyes. I've been wearing it the last couple of days and I think it's really, really beautiful. So it's a Suvimi High Shine eyeshadow in A44. This brand has like 100 different shades. It's crazy. I do have it swatched here. So it's like it's a brown, but it's a warm brown. It's like a medium brown. It's really, really beautiful. That's all I have on my eyes today. It's all I've been wearing lately. So I thought that's a really nice one that I can definitely use if I want a warmer bronzy eye. I think it's really easy, really beautiful. So that one I'm going to introduce and see how I go with it. Then I thought I wanted something that's a little bit more nude for me. So for days where I don't want to have as much focus on the eyes. So this one here, which is more of like a pinky light shade. It's this one here. I thought I'll focus on that one as well, see how I go with that. But then I thought I've got to introduce some Stila ones because these are way older than those Korean ones. Those Korean ones I think I've had for about a year. These I've probably had for multiple years. These were definitely way before the pandemic, so they're at higher risk of drying out. So I decided to introduce Vivid Smoky Quartz, which is similar to that brown bronzy one that I'm wearing, but it's a little bit more cool toned and a little bit darker. So it's this one here. Now I thought I've got all these sort of colorful color shifting ones, and I don't tend to wear these too much on a daily basis, but they are really beautiful at layering. So I've put that dark brown Stila one on, which is a Vivid Smoky Quartz, and I've tried some different toppers. And the one that I thought I can probably use the most is the one that gives a sort of greeny, sort of interesting effect. Sort of cools it down a little bit, lightens it a little bit. And this is a shade Deception. It's like this pinky, light pink that goes sort of like yellow, green, blue. And the cool thing about it is, and I'll swatch it just on its own, is it's actually really beautiful on its own. It's not too strong a color, where I had some other shades like this one, for example, which is a little bit too pink for a daily basis for me. And then I've got some other ones that are like too sort of frosty white. So this one here, just blend it out. I can actually use as a really pretty nude. So I thought I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use that one, and that one, and see which ones I use more frequently, see how much usage I can get out of them, and get a good gauge of what I can realistically use next year. So I'm adding in 4 liquid eyeshadows, which is crazy, but it's more of a putting my feelers out to see what I can use and what I just don't reach for. All right, the last thing I'm going to introduce is, again, a preemptive thing. I'm actually been using 2 lip products, and I've been using them fairly consistently. If I'm wanting a bright lip, I go for a red, but on a daily basis, I use one of my 2 lip products in this project. The way I sort of start the day is with the Hourglass one. So this is just a refill, and it's in the shade My One Desire. Now, I don't have much of this left. I still have more than I expected. I think this is like the 3rd month that this is in my project. So I've been using this almost on a daily basis, and it actually a little does go a long way. So we'll have a comparison on the screen of where it's up to versus last month. But what I tend to do, and I'll take this lip off and I'll show you. So what I tend to do on a daily basis, this is actually quite a bold nude for me, and it works mainly when I'm wearing cooler tone makeup because it is more of a cooler pink. But what I tend to do, because it is so bold, I just sort of line my lips with it. And then I press my lips together. Almost to like blot it down. So that's sort of what I wear when I'm leaving the house every day. And I've been enjoying it. So I'm going to keep using it that way. It's good. If I layer it too much, it gets, again, too sort of bold. But then throughout the day, what I do is I'll reach for my Linda Hallberg Fantastick lipstick. This is in pink Opal, and this is what I do to just either put like a balm layer on top or just like refresh my lips. And again, it's a similar color, but this is a tinted balm. It's got SPF. It's really nice. And this is virtually done. There's a little bit left. I would say I'm going to miss this, but I also have another one. I love them. I think they're really, really great, particularly this shade. So when that inevitably is used up in like a week or two, probably a week, I'm going to introduce another product that I've earmarked for panning next year. So when I did my Project Apocalypse, I set some stuff aside that I want to pan, and this by Pat McGrath is one of them. So this is a little balm. It's tiny. It's a baby balm. So I think this will, I want to be able to use up things realistically by the end of the year, so I can sort of finish up this project and start next year's one. But this is the Sheer Color Balm in Blow Up. So I just feel like, again, this is something that I can layer over the lipstick I'm currently wearing, and I feel like that will work well. So I probably don't like it as much as the Linda Hallberg one, but yeah, it's something that I can definitely use. So I'm introducing this preemptively. All right, let's talk about more updates. My fragrance, I'm still using it. It's still taking ages, but I'm making better progress. I did explain last month that what I've started doing, and I sort of spray one spray on me and then like spray 1 or 2 sprays in the air and sort of walk into it. It's just a really strong fragrance and it's really hard to get progress. So I think I've been using this excessively. I've even been using it sometimes as like a room spray, and I've only used a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit. So this is going to be a fragrance that's going to go into next year. I like it, but I don't love it. And it's just that little bit too strong to like reapply. There's progress, but it's not the best. All right, for some visual progress, look, I've really halted on my Revlon Colorstay. When I introduced it a couple months ago, it was here. Last month, I used quite a lot of it, and then it's just like below that line, mainly because I've been testing out another foundation and been struggling with it, so I've been testing it for weeks. So this I've come back to. I'm wearing today with an SPF mixed in, but yeah, it's I didn't use it for half the month, so yeah, hoping next month next check-in, I'll see a lot more progress, but it's been on hiatus this month. Last month I hit pan on my Dior highlighter and the pan is just getting bigger, so I will have a comparison on the screen. This is kind of annoying because it's sort of flaking off as I'm using it, so now that I've hit pan, it's sort of, yeah, it's a bit messy. But I still love it. I'm not wearing it today, but it's beautiful, so I'm going to keep using it. The 2 cheek products I am wearing today, I've got my Nabla Bronzer. So again, I'll have the name of everything I talk about in the description box. This one, oh look, I'll hold it here, but I'll have a comparison to last month. I think the sort of logo that was pressed in the middle is completely gone. So I have been using this quite a lot, but it's a very, very firmly pressed baked product. So you only pick up sort of a small amount, but that's good because I don't want to over bronze. So I haven't been using this up too quickly, but there is some progress. MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Stereo Rose. I love this. I pretty much use it every day. I'm wearing it today as a blush highlighter in one. It's gorgeous. I almost don't want this to end. I am getting a bit of a flat top happening, but I've got heaps to go and I'm okay with that because I love it. It's something I want to use every day. It's very enjoyable. So I will have progress shots on the screen, but again, I'm just enjoying the ride with this one because it's beautiful. I love it. With my powder, so MAC, this is the Mineralized Skin Finish Natural in Light Plus. I think this one has much more of a flat top happening. I can use a lot more of it. And I'm starting to see it actually dip in slightly. I use a lot of powder. It is what it is. So again, I'll have progress on the screen. But I can definitely see it. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I can definitely see that it's starting to dip in a bit. I've got 2 brow products to talk about. One is Kabrow from Benefit. So it's a pomade. Now last month I did hit pan at the very bottom. There's like a little pinpoint pan, and I said that the great thing about that is that I can now see visual progress easier. I couldn't weigh this because it's dry, so sporadically I add Duraline, which adds weight, but now that I've hit the bottom, you can see that I'm starting to dig into like the sides, and the pan is starting to expand. So I don't use this every day, but there's definitely some progress. I'll have hopefully closer up photos on the screen so you're not like, what is going on here? But I use this a lot of the time. The rest of the time I use this mini ultra precise brow pencil from e.l.f. And I've been using it, but it's still going, which is good. I've used it today and I will have progress on the screen for that one as well. Another pencil that I need to show progress on the screen is my Nabla Cupid's Arrow Full Color Stylo in the shade Arrow number 2. I'm wearing this on my waterline and tight line today. Sometimes I wear it as like a smudged liner on the top lash line, but it's mainly my waterline shade. I have sharpened this, so it's looking more sharpened than it did before, but there's really not much left. Now it does have a sharpener down the bottom that you can sort of twist. Makes it a little bit easier to use. It does waste a lot of product. So if you aren't trying to use this up fast, I would probably just say, use it as like a chubby, smudgy pencil. But if you are trying to use it, sharpening does waste a lot of product. So I've seen good progress, and it's mainly from sharpening, to be fair. All right, let's talk about things that I need to weigh. So there's a few things here. With the foundation, that's probably the one I've made most progress on. This is a mineral foundation that I added in last month. I haven't used it too many times. Again, I've been testing out a new foundation, but I do sometimes like to use this again with like a tinted SPF just to sort of set it and add a little bit more coverage. Or if I need to touch up my base, like if I've got stuff wearing down in certain areas, touching up with a bit of mineral foundation works fairly well. So I've used less than a gram of this. There's a lot in here, there's 10 grams, but I've used less than a gram. Again, it's not been a really good month for seeing progress on base products because I've been testing out some other stuff. So hopefully next check-in I will have made a lot more progress there. Urban Decay Primer Potion. Again, look, I have been using this. I have made progress. Last month I was at 14.31 grams and now I'm at 13.96 grams. So not heaps of progress. But I have been using a lot of cream or liquid eyeshadows. So I haven't really been using primer with them. I've just been using them as like a one-step eye look, and this has been taken a bit of a, I don't know, I've been neglecting it because of that. And that's going to happen more and more the more sort of liquid eyeshadows I incorporate into this, but I still want this done, so we'll still keep it in. All right, Nabla eyeliner. I think I've only used this like 1 or 2 times. This is a Serial eyeliner. It's a black liquid eyeliner. I have been sort of opting for either no eyeliner looks or like smudgy eyeshadow or pencil liner. So this has just not really been used, and I've only used 0.01 of a gram. So I reckon this is going to dry out before I actually use it up. And the last thing is my NARS Climax Extreme Mascara. So it's just a mini. This is what I introduced last month to replace the MAC one. This is very bold. This is Junky Monkey, quite thick lashes, not the best on the lower lash line. I don't have any on my lower lash line today. I've just got on the top lash line. And you sort of have to go really light-handed, otherwise you can get really thick lashes, which is a good thing sometimes, but not every day. But it also means I use quite a lot of it. So I've used over half a gram of this. I don't know how much it actually contains. Let's see, 2 grams. I reckon it contains more than that. But by that theory, I should be done in another 3 months. But we'll see. Yeah, again, I'm just sort of using my minis to get through them and see if I like the formula. But this is definitely usable. I like it enough to keep using it. But there's days where I want to reach for something a bit more subtle. So yeah, getting progress, but it's mainly because it deposits a lot. All right, so there's a lot going on in that update. A lot that I've used up, a lot that I'm adding in, a lot that I'm experimenting with, mainly the liquid eyeshadows. And I'm curious to see next check-in how I go with them, if I neglect them entirely, or if there's like one that I use and the others I just don't care about. We'll see. This is just experimenting. So hopefully doing my everyday makeup is going to be a little bit more fun because it's new stuff to play with. If you're doing a project pan, I'd love to know in the comments how you're going with it. We only have a few more months left of the year, so it's sort of like time to not ramp up the progress, that's not the case, but I'm trying to like finish things off if possible so I can sort of wrap things up nicely and be like, look how many I used up. That's what I like to do at the end of the year. So yeah, hopefully you're going well and you're making some great progress, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.